Good morning, scholars. Today we are going to learn how to subtract two-digit numbers, and we are going to be borrowing today. So in this lesson, you will learn to subtract two-digit numbers. So let's look at a couple of problems and go over it. The first problem we have is 45 minus 37. 45 minus 37. Now, we know that this is the ones digits. That's the ones place value. We also know that this column is the tens place value. And so if we look at the ones place value, we have 5 minus 7. We have 5 minus 7. Now we know that we cannot take 7 away from 5. So we are going to have to borrow. We're going to have to borrow from the tens place value. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 5, we're going to mark through that, and then we're going to go borrow next door from the 4. So when we borrow from the 4, we're going to mark through that. We're going to write a 3 above that and add the 1 that we borrowed from the 4 to the 5 to get 15. And so now we have 15 minus 7, which we can do that. So 15 minus 7 is going to be 8. 15 minus 7 is 8. And when we're going to go next to the tens place value and subtract 3 minus 3, which is going to be 0. So if we take 45, we have 45 minus 37, we have 8 because we borrowed. Okay, let's look at another subtraction problem. We have 51 minus 36. 51 minus 36. So let's go ahead and look at our ones place value. We have 1 minus 6. Now we know that we cannot take 6 away from 1. 6 is larger than 1. We want the larger number to be on top when we subtract. This time, the largest number is on the bottom with the 6. So what we need to do is we're going to need to borrow. So we're going to take that 1, mark through it, go next door to our neighbor and borrow from the tens place value, the 5. So once we borrow 1 from that 5, that's going to give us a 4. And then we're going to add that 1 over here to the other one to have 11. So now we can say 11 minus 6 is going to be 5. Again, that's our ones place value. And then we can say 4 minus 3 is going to be 1. So if we have the problem 51 minus 36, our answer is going to be 15. After we subtracted and borrowed, our answer is 15. Okay, one more example. Now, as I'm showing this, I want you to talk out loud about what you think that we need to do. Our problem is 65 minus 28. And so we know we need to look at the ones values. First, 5 minus 8. Now remember, where should your larger number be? At the top or the bottom? That's right. Your larger number needs to be on the top. Now, since 5 is not the larger number, we know that we are going to have to what? That's right. We are going to have to borrow. We're going to have to borrow from our tens column, tens place value. And so once we borrow, we're we're going to take 1 from the 6 for 5, and we're going to give that 1 that we took away from the 6 over here to make 15. So we can now look at subtracting. Remember, we want our largest number to be where? Our largest number needs to be on top. So is this correct now? 15 minus 8? Yes, it is. So now we can subtract. We can say 15 minus 8 is 7. And then we can go to our tens place value and say 5 minus 2. Our larger number's on the top, the 5's on the top, so we can subtract. And so if we had 65 minus 28, our answer is going to be 37. Okay, so now I'd like for you to try 2 problems. Go ahead and get out your math notebook and write these 2 problems down in your notebook. The first problem is 30 minus 15. And the second problem is 58 minus 29. So what I want you to do is I want you to stop the video, try to go ahead and solve these 2 problems to see if you can do it. And then once you finish, you got an answer, I want you to go ahead and restart the video. Take your time, there's no rush. Do your best, and remember what we've talked about previous. We always want the larger number to be on top in order to be able to subtract. If it's not, if the larger number is not on top, then we need to borrow. Okay, so at this point you should have already got your answers. Let's look at number 1. The 0 is the smaller than 5, so we know that we have to borrow. We have to go next door to the 3 and borrow 1 and give it to the 0. So that takes the 3 to a 2, and that makes the 0 a 10. So we can say 10 minus 5 is 5, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So the answer for number 1 is 15. All right, for number 2, we have 58 minus 29. We cannot take 9 away from 8. We have the larger number is not on top, it's on the bottom, so we need to do what? Yes, we need to borrow. So we're going to take 1 next from the 5 and give that to the 8 to make 18. And we have 18 minus 9, which is going to give us 9. And then we need to subtract 4 minus 2, which will give us 29. So the answer for number 2 is 29. All right, so in summary, we have looked at subtracting with 2 digits today. We have looked at the ones value and the tens value. And we know when we subtract, if the ones value, if the largest number is not on top, then we are going to need to borrow. And so we have borrowed from the tens value to make the ones value larger. What I'd like for you to do now is I'd like for you to go ahead and complete problem number 3 and number 4. And I'd like for you to maybe take a screenshot of your work in your notebook and submit it to Google Classroom. Or if you just don't have a chance to take a screenshot, go ahead and just tell me your answers for the assignment that's in Google Classroom. Do your best. If you need any help, remember, just email your teacher, and your teacher's there to help you. And but your assignment right now is to go ahead and solve for 3 and 4 and submit your answers.